All right, welcome back, everybody. We are back from vacation, and we are on par for another great Monday expert interview. You are not going to want to miss this one. So, with that said, today we are creating the building blocks for the future of construction by taking action and creating a movement, not a moment, through diversity, equity, and inclusion. What is the NAHB Task Force? What is the Compact? How can you incorporate these winning actions to build a better business and a better future? Along with the National Association of Home Builders, immediate past chair Greg Eugaldi, we will also welcome DEI Task Force co-chairs Judy Donnell and Brad Simons, each uniquely positioned to bring people together and drive momentum as we build it better together today on Dave Cooper Live. So, without further ado, why don't we bring in our monthly co-host, the one, the only, Greg Eugaldi. Hey, Greg.
Hey, how are you, Dave? Hopefully
I'm having a great day.
Yeah, and you got some relaxation in. I mean, you broadcast a couple times still. You couldn't help yourself during vacation, but that was great. That was great.
Yeah, we had a little bit of withdrawal, but man, we got to meet up with some great people, Saturday coffee with Dave. So we had a great time. So Greg, you haven't been on for about 4 weeks now. There's been a lot of different changes happening out there, and one of them is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, happening within the NAHB. What brought this on? Tell us a little bit about it.
So it's getting to be a phrase and a term that you're hearing quite a bit around the country, and it's starting with big corporations and different movements that are really taking this seriously. And at NAHB, we did the same thing. I mean, we jumped right out in front on this issue. I sit on an affordable housing task force, for example, with Fannie Mae, and they have all the largest lenders and people in the industry. And we spent an entire meeting and a half on DEI and the efforts that we had. I was so proud to be able to share NAHB's efforts. And as you and Jen go around the country and show all the building blocks that are required, and we talk about workforce development, and we talk about just all the different things that interact, this is an important component that I think that this is perfect timing to talk about on your show and start sharing some of the efforts that we have. And Dave, we actually have a pretty decent video if you want to kick it off that way. That's probably works.
I think it's a great idea. Let's do that.
My fellow senior officers and I are committed to creating a welcoming environment that embraces diversity, promotes equity, and actively seeks to improve inclusion. We will do this by
welcoming frank and honest discussions,
having a listening heart,
committing to engagement,
taking action,
and by creating a movement, not a moment. Join us and support NAHB's Compact on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Great. And there's the website and the logo for people to go on to nahbnow.com or is it .org and sign up for some of this stuff. So Greg, I mean, everybody got on this, in the corporate world, in the building world, the value of this, and we're going to break this down with Judy and Brad here in a minute. But the words diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how the NAHB has gone to string that together, DEI, right? Took a lot of thought and a lot of planning, and a lot of people came together to really make this a successful program within the NAHB, yes?
Yes. The important thing, and you said it well, I mean, this isn't just something that we have an announcement and we focus on for 30 seconds. This is really meant to change the way people conceptualize and think about our efforts into the future, especially as we talk about what we're going to look like as an industry as we move forward. And it's critical that we be as inclusive as possible. And we'll get into that more. I mean, we have two of our leaders top leaders in the Federation we asked to take on this task. And we put together a group for them, a task force, and they're here to talk about that.
I love it. All right, so we are going to get into talking about DEI. We're also going to get in near the end of the show, Greg, updates you have on energy infrastructure, the eviction moratorium that has been put in place in October, NAHB.org, the coronavirus, lumber, what is happening there? What are the updates? We're also going to talk about supply chain convening and NAHB now. So stay tuned. We have a lot to go through today. And if you are just joining us, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Greg?
Twitch.
That's right. Greg
Mark always
Eugaldi,
waits for it too. Mark
man,
always waits for the Twitch.
The Twitch is it. The Twitch is it. So if you're not following us, please do. And also, if you are not following us on our YouTube channel, you're wrong. You should be. Greg, I got a big announcement. We are over 100.4 thousand minutes per 28 days watched right now. 100,000 minutes of being watched. I mean, our channel is being played all the time, and it's an amazing thing. All right, Greg. Without further ado, why don't we start introducing our task force people here that are driving diversity, equity, and inclusion at the NAHB. Who do you want to bring in first?
Bring in Judy. She's an old pro at the show. Judy Donnell, both good friends of mine too. And Brad Simons. They are, there we go. Oh, look at how nice everybody looks, huh? All right.
I love it. Let me get everybody situated here. All right, Judy. All right, Brad. You are on the Dave Cooper Live show. We are going to talk about all the things that are changing in our industry. And this is one of the big changes that has been needed and is being welcomed with open arms because we need this in our industry. We want people to feel welcome, involved, be part of what we're building and creating. And you want to know why that is, Brad and Judy?
Why is that?
Because we're tired of being in last place when it comes to being innovative, being the leader in the industry, not only in construction, but around the world. And I love that we're making those changes, and we are going to do this in a big way. So without further ado, Judy, I am going to start with you just briefly. You've been on the show many times when you're now the immediate past chair of the associate members, which is that means you made it and you're still with us and you're still working on things. And I think that's great. But you're also a building ambassador for 84 Lumber, who is a fully owned or fully operated woman-owned company, which is amazing. And a lot of people don't know. Why don't you just give us a brief update on what you've been up to since you've changed from the immediate past chair?
Well, thank you, Greg. It's always a pleasure to be on this show, and it's always so much fun to have everybody and be with one of my best friends, Brad, and then, of course, my really good friend, Greg. And so currently, I am the second vice chair of membership, and so that's also a very large task that I've taken on. And like Greg mentioned, that I'm the co-chair of the DEI task force. Obviously, I'm still on the leadership council, and I'm also on the corporate board for leading suppliers council within NAHB. So with that and doing what I do for 84, I have a full plate there. So,
you know what? I don't think you would have it any other way. I think you would lose your mind if you didn't just pack every moment of your day. So I love it, and we're very grateful for everything that you do. All right, Brad Simon, it is up to you now. It's a little bit different for you. This is your first time on the show, so I have to ask you, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or Judy Donnell will call your mother, and we'll have your mother on the show, and she will inform us of everything. And I don't know if you want that or not, but go ahead. You only got 2 minutes to do it, Brad.
Thanks, Dave. So glad to be here on your show, and have watched you a little bit in the past when you're out here in Utah at the house that she built. So grateful for what you do for our industry and getting the message and the word out there. I'm just a guy from Utah. People say, "Oh, you're from Utah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I never got away. I just never could escape the place." But I love it here. Love everything about our state and what we do, the opportunities we have. I currently work for Maglev Construction. I'm a vice president there. Maglev a high-end custom home builder, building in Utah, Idaho, Montana. But we also have a unique feature for a custom home builder in that we have international operations, and that's pretty unusual for a custom home builder. But we have a architectural support group in Tijuana, Mexico, and we have a commercial millwork group in Tijuana. We have a professional support team in I was going to say in Spanish, La República Dominicana, the Dominican Republic, and we also have a team of team members in Puerto Rico. So we're pretty diverse in our application of how we go out and find talent, and we like that. And that's helped us be a better builder in all that we do and do things all over the country. Our commercial millwork group does work all over the country and internationally. So excited to be here. Love the industry. Been in construction since I was 12, back when you could work on a job and not get arrested as a 12-year-old. And just really glad to still be a part of the industry and striving to help make it better each and every day. So turn it back to you. That's as much as you get from me, and don't call my mother.
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, you're not off the hook yet. The show still has another 45 minutes to go, so we'll determine that. It is for sure. So, all right, as we roll through what you guys are doing in DEI, let's hit it off with this, right? Why did you choose the words, that you chose for this? I mean, we got diversity, we have equity, right? Not equality, equity, right? What does that mean? And I think that's a big topic on this, so people understand that, because I think you said before the show that does not mean monetary money value. Who wants to start with that?
That's correct. I can grab that for you, Dave, there. Equity in what we have on that is our definition is it refers to an approach with a goal to equalize access to opportunities while recognizing that not everyone has the same advantages. So that's what the term equity is actually stands for. So we're pretty proud of having that definition within our industry, because it is so important to know that there's a lot of people that don't have the same advantages of everybody else, but they're very welcome in our industry, and they do very well with what they have, what they choose, and what their path is for equity. So that's one of the reasons that we chose that word, and I think that it just overall shows that the industry itself will welcome anybody into any facet of our industry and doesn't have anything to do with the money value of it.
Sure. And that's what's amazing about our industry, right? Equity and collaboration and people being welcomed with open arms, because we need everybody in our industry. It doesn't matter whether you're sweeping the floors, swinging a hammer, using the CAD system, driving the trucks. It does not matter. We need everybody, and we want everybody to feel, like you said, have the inclusion and feel welcome. And it's funny having the show and having you on, Judy, and Brad and Greg all the time. It's already there. People want everybody to belong in our industry. We want more women. We want more inclusivity. We want every race of life in our industry, because it all brings so much value. It's just, how do we get the word out there, right? So what spurred this whole DEI compact, like this whole conversation? Like, how did it just pop up? It was a big thing in the news, but why at the NAHB, and how did it all come together?
So I think the compact, I will admit that we stole the idea from the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce. They're doing something similar. But the idea was, how could we get something out quickly that would tell our members and share with the public in general about what we're trying to do? We wanted to keep it really simple. And then the task force decided we should have people sign it and agree to it. And, the interesting thing about equity, when we talk about equity, to tag team with Judy a little bit, it's not about quotas. It's not about forcing people to do things, but there are ways that we as individuals can take action to make a difference in people's lives. And if we do that in the right way, we augment the people that want to work in our industry and make it their lives and make it part of their profession. So the compact simply is a document that states 5 simple things. It talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but most importantly, it talks about the 5 points, which are welcoming, frank and honest discussion. That shouldn't be a threat. We should be willing to talk about stuff. Having a listening heart. I think one of the things that I've felt on the task force is listening to some of our task force members talk about difficult times when they overhear someone say something that's derogatory to their lifestyle or that where they came from, socioeconomic status. Those are the things that hurt. And so we just want to listen with an opening heart. We want to be committed to engagement. We're about getting things done and helping people get into our industry, take action, and then create a movement, not a moment. We don't want this to be, as Greg pointed out, just a splash in the pan.
Right.
We want it to be, go on forever and really help augment our industry. So that's why the compact came. You can sign it at nhb.org/DEI and join the movement.
Yeah, and we'll put that website up here in just a moment. Greg, just Brad mentioned, and what you said in the beginning, a movement versus a moment. I mean, that's a big difference, right? This isn't a moment in time. This is a movement of how our industry is going to start looking at DEI moving forward. And what's your thoughts on that?
So if you look at this, the fact that, and we talk about this from show to show with the updates, right now we have anywhere between 350,000 to 400,000 job openings within our industry. So when we look at something like this, we're not looking at it as an impediment. We're looking at it as a tool to grow our industry and to make people proud of working alongside all sorts of new people. It's so critical that we are really jumping out in front on an issue that some people have had a little bit of trepidation just looking at this and trying to decide when is the time. Let's see what others do. We did exactly the opposite. We grabbed the bull by the horns on this and said, this is going to be what we stand for. This is going to help us as we move forward.
Yeah. So how do you take something like this and keep that momentum going so it's not a moment, right? One of the things, that we talked about was there's goals of the task force, quotas, rules, regulations, and why? Why does there have to be quotas and goals and regulations? Why isn't this just normal common sense for all of us to act this way and move forward this way? But I have a feeling you're going to give me a different answer.
Well, I think there's a concern out there that's exactly what it is, Dave. You hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
And it's simply not. What we're trying to do is create tools and opportunities for people who maybe haven't thought about it. In our industry, we are a very diverse industry in some ways. When you look at the racial side, we have a lot of racial diversity in our industry with our great professionals and craftsmen who build the American dream. But beyond that, we probably struggle a little bit. And so this is just a way to bring it to the forefront, talk about the different things. One of the key things I like to focus on is the socioeconomic diversity. We can bring people from different socioeconomic groups together and make our industry stronger. So, and there's not a quota with that. It's just opening doors. One of the greatest experiences I had was helping the Dominican Republic student competition team come to the United States and compete. That's a great opportunity for them and gave them an experience they would never have had someone not stepped up and helped. And so it's just little things like that we can do in our everyday lives to encourage diversity and inclusion in our industry.
Yeah, but I also think that, Dave, I also think that, NAHB has a global opportunities council that we have, and joining in with the global opportunities and all the different members that belong there are also, diverse, and they fall into our DEI program very well. And this kind of captures the need and the wants of how we can be so diverse across the world. It's not just our country, but it's also the whole world. And you do a lot with the overseas, and you see it. And on your shows, I watch it all the time. And it's, you have
Yeah.
a diverse amount of group with the companies that bring it over. So it is a worldwide movement. It's not just the country, and NAHB has tasked Brad and I to bring that to the forefront and
Sure.
keep that in the forefront at all times. So it will eventually not only be a task force, but it will probably go beyond that to be a committee or a council within NAHB and keep this movement rolling on. So we're always in the forefront of this.
Absolutely. This is what I love about NAHB, and I say this, with a big open heart. Since having Greg on the show and you on the show, Judy, and now you, Brad, and so many others from the NAHB on this show, it really shows that there are good people with the right hearts and the right minds trying to do the right things for our industry and the people within our industry. You never just sit back on your heels and watch it. You're in it all the time, whether it's on Capitol Hill, whether it's updating presidents, whether it's fighting for our rights so they don't take it away, getting our lumber surcharges, all of these things. So I think this is just another example of why I appreciate having all of you on the show all the time. So I'm just going to say thank you, and then we're going to move on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it. All right. So let's talk about what is the task force working on. So we have quotas, we have rules, we're going to have regulations. Well, that means there has to be a way to figure out, is this working? What are the tools that allow us to keep this front and center to build that culture? Because this has got to be part of the culture of the entire ecosystem. How is the NAHB going about doing that? And what are you working on to put all this in place?
Well, some of the things that we have in process right now are, of course, the compact signature applications that we were just talking about. And then we're coming up with elevator speeches as far as on a long version and a short version. So when we're not on a show always like Dave Cooper's show, but we're sitting in, and like you said, it's an elevator pitch. So when you're in that short version of people wondering, why are we doing this? We have tools for everybody to be able to use the proper language. We did a press release version, just came out. And then we have a lot of things that are going to be happening for our spring leadership. We set the goals, and we have action items that are coming up, board presentations that are coming up. We've actually invited more people to join our task force right now. And we're separating it to different, as Brad likes to call them, they're discovery events, which is our education arm, and we're and being able to join into that part of it. Brad, I'll let you give a few more of our.
Well, I think the key is we got the compact out before our spring leadership meeting, which was awesome, and we appreciate the support of our senior officers. And now, between now and IBS, we're really trying to create a toolkit, which is kind of a phrase everybody uses, but we're trying to make ours very, very strong, that could be utilized by member companies if they want to talk about DEI, or our local associations. And we're so diverse in our own local associations and our membership that we want to create a tool that everybody can use and has lots of different options so they can pick and choose what they want. Now, most people call things training. I personally don't like the word training. You train dogs, you don't train humans. Humans discover things through experience. And so we're focusing on some really powerful discovery events. And we're starting off with one at IBS, joining with some women from PWB. And we're going to have a great program there on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It'll be part of the courses offered at IBS. And then we'll have our toolkit rolled out at IBS. The neat thing coming on up in the future is a DEI week. Yep. That we'll have a whole week that we focus on DEI events and publish throughout the country. And what we're doing, that'll roll out in 2022. So we have a big agenda. We have a great task force that's very dedicated. And again, we're just trying to make people think about it and see what they can do on an individual basis to make things better.
Sure. in this task force of individuals, and we're going to get to the website here in a moment. You know, when you want people to join, when they join, what happens? What do I get to do? How do I become a member? And when I do become a member or sign up for the task force, what does my rules and obligations become?
Well, of course, the first thing that you have to do is join at your local for your local association and join the Home Builders Association,
Right.
which gives you a 3-tier membership of local, state, and then national. And once you're a member of the HBA, then you could come and you can just say that you would like to volunteer to be on the task force. Don't forget, everything is a volunteer basis. And we will find, and then I usually like to discover what it is that your passion. You know, when I'm talking to you, I can figure out where kind of your passion is within the DEI realm, and then we could put you into one of our groups, one of our working groups that helps with that. And if you absolutely don't know, or you want to try a little bit of everything, then you can pick one to go on. We'll put you on there. We have a leader of each one of those that kind of keeps
Sure.
Robert's rules in order, and then you could just go ahead and be a part of everything that's going on. And then you're a part of every single group, but you're working with this particular working group within the task force.
Sure.
But the first thing is to join your local Home Builders Association.
Now, with the NEHB is made up of members, associate members, builder members. Is this information stuff that I can take back to my own company, you know, where I work, and use this as a resource, not only because the NAHB has brought it into their fold, but are there going to be resources for me as a member to say, hey, listen, I really want to incorporate these ideas, these concepts into my business?
Yes, absolutely. That's what the toolkit's about. It'll have best practices for businesses and associations, have ideas on the discovery events. The discovery events will be able to pull off the shelf and utilize. You know, and as we try to attract people into our industry, younger people are asking, what's your position on diversity and equity and inclusion in your company? So as companies try to attract the younger generations, they're going to need to be able to say, hey, we have this, we've got it, we talk about it, it's part of our focus, because these young kids want to work for companies that are on the leading edge of inclusion and to make our country better and stronger. So these tools will be available. They will be rolled out at IBS.
So that, I mean, Brad, to me, that is the perfect statement right there, because it's about our youth. Greg said it earlier, 350 to 400,000 open positions that we need to fill. We need every tool in our tool belt that these young people believe in and where their minds are to help bring them into our industry and make them feel welcome to make up this deficit of labor.
Right.
Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, you know, and to give you an example too, Dave, how with boots on the ground, how this is really activated. So you could tell by listening to Judy and Brad talk about in the whole task force shares their passion. They take it from the leaders and it's really spreading. But we have sent task force members to all our committees and councils, and we have given them time to present to all the members, starting with in-person informational sessions. And also, we're really hitting it hard on the information we're sharing in print and on websites and just different webinars. So you can tell that it's becoming a common topic, that people aren't hearing it for the first time. And what we're talking about today, you can see that it's so critical for our members, just as it is for companies around the country, around the world, to know what DEI is and be able to converse about it. So by us taking a lead in this area and to really stressing it, everybody is starting to make it part of their vocabulary, part of their way of life, and we continue to build on that. That's really how you take a term, an idea, and you make it something with longevity and an action item. As Judy said, we have many action items that we're going to bring forward, and Brad just went through a few of them. At IBS, we'll have another strong kit of things that people are going to be able to utilize as tools, bringing these ideas and concepts forward into the future.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. So Judy and Brad, being one of the head co-chairs for NAHB DEI, how many people are part of your task force? How many people did you have to bring together to really start putting this in place? Because it's not just the idea. It's, what are the concepts? What are the bullet points? What are the rules? There's a whole team of people outside of just yourselves making this happen, because the way I understand it, Brad and Judy, you both have full-time jobs elsewhere as well, right? So this is volunteer stuff. This is what I want everybody to know. This is volunteer stuff. And Brad, you're super engaged in our youth, in different countries, and they're bringing, being part of our student competitions. So you guys got to have some help, and I think it's important that we talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think the way we started this was when the senior officers came to us. We knew that we had to start with a small group to be able to go through, and we also have one of our legal NHB. We have Jim Rizzo is on our task force with us, and so that way, because of the language and because of how sensitive a lot of material is, we also had to make sure that everything that we were doing was going to be, and Greg's a lawyer too, so he knows everything has to be on that side of being correct, and being the language being spoken was in the context that we wanted, but legal. Right. And so that way, when we produce all this stuff, when we give it to other businesses and other industry fellows and fellowships, we can make sure that everything is up to date and on board. We had to, make sure that our own house was in order first. So those were some of the things that you have to go through, and then you have to find the program that you want to go through. So Brad and I spent many, 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 many hours putting stuff together and making sure that everything that was vetted and correct. And then, of course, we've had some amazing help at the NAHB and the staff that works for NAHB. They're our partners and everything, and they are most valuable tools that we could have.
I think it's important to point out, and to answer your question, Dave, is the task force is diverse in and of itself.
Yes.
I'm probably the only non-diverse guy on the task force, or person on the task force. I introduced myself as the token white conservative guy from Utah, because I'm just a normal guy. But I will share with you a little personal thing, if it's okay. So
yeah, go ahead.
I have a daughter who is gay, and she constantly tells me, Dad, I don't want to be called gay. I'm just Abigail Simons. I'm just a person out here living my life, doing my thing, and I don't want to be labeled. And that was something that really hit me hard from my own daughter, that we tend to label everybody, and we shouldn't, And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Christian or Muslim, or if you're white, black, pink, purple, it doesn't matter. We're really just human. And I think that's what my daughter's point was, is that if we look at ourselves as humans and forget about all this labeling that we put on each other, we're in a much better place. And as I've talked to these great members of our task force, who are all human, by the way, I don't know, there's this movie, about foreign, people from space occupying bodies, but we won't go there. Anyway, but the bottom line is we just want to be all the same. We want to be human. I shouldn't say the same, but we want to be human and want to be focused on our humanity, not what group people think we should be part of. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Those are always moments that I love, because you're real. This is live. This isn't edited. It came from your heart, and I think that people should know these things. And I'm the same way. I'm from Pittsburgh, on that side of the tracks, and quite honestly, for me, being in the military, all the things that I've done, people want to be happy. They want to be successful. They want to see their children succeed, right? I don't think anybody really cares what you do this way or that way. As long as we all get together and we all drive for the right thing, and you're not in my space, I'm not in your space, it's a great place to be. And that's what it should all be fun. Nobody should really care. We should just enjoy each other's time and everything we do. All right. Listen, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, so please hit that like and share button. And if you are not following Greg Eugaldi, Brad Simons, or Judy Donnell, you're wrong. You better go there and follow them after the show, by the way, after the show. And after the show, go to our YouTube channel, and please hit that subscribe button. So why don't we go to a couple comments and say hello to a few people. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Good.
All right, let's do it. All right, Kevin D. Brown from LinkedIn. Wow, lots of gray hair, me included. Okay. Well, I got gray in my beard, too, but I don't have much hair. Who else do we have out there? Mark Build, Willie Casista, the bare naked guy from our BS Friday show. Greg Eugaldi always brings out the sport coat for Dave Cooper. Thumbs up. Pride, train the trades, more of this. Grab the bull by the horns, ever-expanding results. So if you guys don't know Mark does a show with me on Friday called Building Science Friday, BS Friday, and we have a lot of fun.
It's outstanding. Yeah, outstanding. He does a great job with you two on the show. Each and every week, it's great topics that people love to hear about, and really talks about like the building science and systems that we all need to know about. Excellent to hear from him, too.
Yeah, good. All right, next comment. Tom Reddy in the house. Awesome crew. Great concepts. Thank you all. Well, Tom, thank you for joining us today as well. Jennifer Crocus Cooper. I don't know who that is. The house that she built, leading by example with diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes, that was such an awesome show. We had so much fun with all those women out there. I mean, that was just amazing what they did.
Is this where I say that was in Utah?
Oh, yeah, that was in Utah, right? It was in Utah.
Yeah,
right outside of Salt Lake City. And that was a beautiful house. Beautiful house.
They did.
Is this where I say that they have a book out now, that the house that she built is coming out? It's available at Builder Books with NAHB, and they have an activity book, and 84 Lumber and Anderson Windows just happen to be co-sponsors of that book. So I'll do a little plug in there for that. And I actually was out at the house, so pretty proud of all the PWB women out there. Brad invited me out there for their first conceptual meeting, and now look at them. They didn't know what they wanted to do, so they just went all for it and 100% in, and incredible.
Well, Christy Powell says she loves that book.
Look at that.
I have to ask you.
Paul, she's our VP of all of our women business owned in 84 Lumber. So hello, Christy.
Hey, Christy, thank you. So I got to ask, Judy, Brad, did you guys do the monkey bars?
I
did the monkey bars. I did it live.
I saw that. Yeah, I did see you doing that. That's pretty good.
I did climb the wall though.
I was the first one to do it. They after the show like, oh, thank God. I don't think anybody's really hung from them yet. So I was like, well, that should have been told me. I do random things sometimes.
I looked at it, but I said, maybe better not. This is for children.
It's a good back stretcher. You get older, you hang from it. All right, perfect.
That's
perfect.
funny.
All right, next. Jerry McCahey in the house. Such a great initiative. You all are to be commended. The industry needs this and society needs this. Well done. If you all don't know Jerry is the founder and CEO of Integra. He's, as he always says, he's the voice of the organization, and he's blessed to do that. But without all of his team members, he cannot do what he does. So he's
outstanding.
He's a great person.
Another outstanding one. A good follower, Dave. He's always participating and helping the show out. Great guy.
He is, and we were just out at his plant. I don't know if you saw it. We did a live on location there and walked through his facility. He's taking it to the next level. So if you don't know Jerry, you got to check out what he's doing.
We did a panel together, right? We did a panel together.
You did do a panel. Right? You did do a panel with them. And just so everybody knows, Jerry, I don't know if you know this yet, we did get picked for the big stage at IBS. So Jerry McCaughey, a developer, and also who else is it, Jen, from the Pacific Companies is going to be on. We got a big show that's going to happen out there, and it's about the developer's point of view of offsite construction.
Yep.
These are big developers using offsite construction techniques, and we will be out there. Caleb Roop, yeah, will be out there with us. So we got some big things happening. Love it, love it, love it. So, and Rick Murdoch from AutoVault. Man, I'm forgetting everybody, Greg. I see that vacation, too many pina coladas. I think
you're gonna have to write it on your hand or something.
Right? It'll be there. So join us for that. Look for that big show. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. So Brad, Judy, what else is there before we move on to Greg's topics and updates from NAHB? What do you want to leave us with?
But for me, I would love to just leave you with what, our vision is, a membership that accurately reflects the wide variety of people that live and work in the home building industry and participate in these associations that utilize their influence to create pathways for those who want to live in the homes and communities we built, improve, and maintain. So that's what I would love to leave you with, is what our mission really is. Our vision, I should say, our vision.
I appreciate that. And Brad, how about yourself?
So I would just add, we're a very conservative industry, and there's some people who don't understand what we're trying to do, and their knee-jerk reaction might be, oh, not me. Like you said in the beginning, Dave, quota, the worry of quotas. It's not about that. It's really about gaining knowledge, about discovering things. And I think if we look at the 5 action items in the compact, I don't know anybody that wouldn't be willing to do those to make life better for themselves, their own company, our industry, and certainly the people that we can help have join our industry and feel included in everything we do. And that's really what it's all about. You mentioned volunteering time. That's why we put time into this, because we care about it deeply in our hearts.
For sure. And let's hit those key points one more time. Welcoming frank and honest discussions, having a listening heart, committing to engagement, taking action, creating a movement, not a moment. And I think all of those things speak volumes. So thank you both.
Well, thank you, Dave, for having us on.
You're very welcome. So just hang tight. We're going to come back to you here at the end of the show. We got about 12 minutes. We got to run through some topics with Mr. Greg Eugaldi himself. So I'm going to put you guys in the fish tank, and we're going to come back right here in a moment. All right, Greg, we're going to speed round our bullet points. You and I, toe to toe. I got my gloves on. Let's go. Energy Infrastructure Act. What do you got for me?
So this, Dave, that in the past we have discussed Portman Shaheen. Remember the different energy bills that have really been a concern to our industry. Like, we need to keep an eye on housing affordability, something that we always talk about. So what we've been able to do, working with Senator Manchin and other leaders in the Senate, and what we've done is really rewritten, taken a different focus with this new Energy Infrastructure Act, where last time the battles were over things like, is it going to be the last 2 building code cycles that we looked at in local amendments? We had to really fight for those. This is talking in broader terms, and we're also really trying to introduce the fact that you have to look at the financial component of anything that you build into codes and anything that we look at into the future. One of the things that's talked about that we think that would be counterproductive is if we took the code adoption process and made it governmental soup to nuts. I mean, that it works great the way it is. We've just established the IECC, and we could talk about that in a future show, how great the ICC has worked and how hard to get an ANSI standard in the code space. But for now, it's just important to know that there are a lot of senators that are coming right down the middle with this energy package, if you will, and it's looking a lot more promising for our industry, and we keep working very hard on that. Much more to follow. This is a topic that'll be talked about for quite some time, as you know.
Got it. Eviction Moratorium, October 3rd, 2021. Now, this is one that I maybe don't understand, but it irks me immensely that, some of these rules have been put in place. What is the NAHB doing to work on some of these eviction moratoriums that are affecting so many people out there that own and operate buildings and dwellings?
So Dave, that one of the things that happens is if you're not careful with a topic like eviction moratorium, it appears like you're on the bad side, right? That you're trying to throw people out. That's not it at all. The home builders is an industry. Our association has to make it clear that many of our members are small mom and pop landlords. And we have some large landlords, but we also have some small. Everybody needs to be able to keep the financial piece of this working, so that if you are basically giving tenants and the right to live without paying rent, the buck stops somewhere. Not everybody is able to absorb that. So from the beginning, we've taken a stance that you always have to have rent aid, and you have to really talk about tenant support in order to talk about any of this, so that the funds can reach the hands of these landlords. Right. Because without that, everybody's going to be living on the street if you don't manage the financial aspects of this. So rental assistance for front and center whenever we talk about this. So what happened was the CDC there's been a lot of talk, and what you're referring to, Dave, is that the challenge they have the ability to we talk about this eviction moratorium, and so it's been challenged. The last time you saw Justice Kavanaugh say that, okay, we're going to let it expire in July, we'll carry it through till then, but there are some questions about whether CDC has this power. Yeah. The National Association of Home Builders actually won a case that says that our members do not have to abide by the moratorium, the federal moratorium. You have to watch out, because there are some state and local moratoriums, moratoria that are, you could say it both ways actually, but that we are not bound by that. But who really wants to spend time in court and everything defending that? So what happened was the Biden administration really reacted to the pressure, the political pressure, if you will, that people were saying, oh, they're going to get thrown out on the streets and everything else. And so while maybe my understanding is that all our members, for example, are really kind-hearted people, they're going to work it through. But if you keep strapping them with financial restraints, it gets harder and harder each step. So it is now currently extended to October 3rd. After it had expired, the administration had to step back in, and CDC did extend it to the 3rd. There are a number of court cases going on now. We'll see what happens. But the important thing is that we really have to work together. There's been a lot of money that's allocated to this that can really help the problem. We just have to make sure that it gets in the right hands of the tenants to be able to provide it to the landlords so we can get through this time period. Like anything else, things can get really bogged down if they're not focused on properly.
Well, and that's exactly it. So hopefully that money does get to them, because, everybody deserves the right to make a living and do what they have to do. And if we don't work together and help each other, and the landlords can't pay their bills, well, then there's no place with electricity and heat and all these other things. So
that's right.
It's a vicious cycle that can take place by it being too one-sided. All right. NAHB.org/coronavirus. This is a big topic once again in our news. It's affecting all of us. What is NAHB doing with it?
So that's a great resource too, Dave, for all your listeners and your audience. That's where you could get the moratorium, the latest on that, all the other things that we've talked about. Over time, just vaccinations and just the ability to run your business better through this pandemic. It's a great resource. Make sure that everybody can go there.
being a member of NAHB has a ton of resources to include DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion training now.
Right.
Well, not training because that's for dogs, as Brad said. So I agree with
I
him.
like that.
But,
I like that.
But you're right. But it has resources for us all to learn from and absorb. All right, lumber. We don't hear about it as much in the news as we've been hearing about it. But what is the White House doing, or what is NAHB doing about lumber and OSB prices?
So you do see that right now, currently, the futures are going down a bit. So we are jumping on this, and we've had some good results. The important thing is that we continue. We see that, and we've talked about the numbers. Is it 30? Is 36,000 that the increases are adding to the price of a home in this country? Well, OSB is still, because of the fact that it's produced in different ways, and there's some things that go into that are keeping that product so high that we still have a lot of work to do on this whole supply chain issue. And right now, we're seeing some promising results. We do know that Canada wants to get back to the table. Let's talk about those treaties. We're trying to even get more of our forests to be used for this, to get us through this. And we're seeing good results. It's like we've always said, it's an ongoing battle that we are starting to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, dare we say, but we are, and we keep working on it full speed.
So that is meaning the White House supply chain is convening, and you guys are working together to make things happen.
So remember what that is too. That's the Secretary Raimondo from Commerce. She was a former Rhode Island governor. And so when we worked with her last, I was with her in New York City, and we She is a terrific advocate of our industry, and she worked with the administration. We pulled everything together, and they called it, because summit had been used, they thought, so we call it a convening. That's ongoing. That effort is ongoing, and that's talking about all the products. You hear about appliance delays. You hear about all these things, and I mean, a day doesn't go by where we don't get a letter about some type of material increase, labor increase, right? Every single week, every day. So we are ongoing. That convening is very meaningful. We have everybody's attention on that, and Dave, the last thing I'll say is the great place to get all the information on these topics to do with the supply chain, nahbnow.com. And that is another great resource. Please make sure everybody goes to that, focus on what the tools that we have there and the information that's available.
Yeah, and they also have their Connect app now. Everybody can join there and have conversations. So the NAHB is really doing a lot of amazing things. So, Greg, we are about our hour. Let's bring Judy and Brad in, because I am remiss. I did not share how you sign up to become part of this task force, And I think it's important to show this. So you can go to NAHB, right? And you actually have a tab that is diversity, equity, and inclusion. You can go there. You can watch that wonderful video of all the NAHB leaders, talking about what it's about that we showed at the beginning. But then you can come right in here and you can hit the sign, the compact, right like that. And guess what? You're in. Fill out your information. And then I guess they'll approve all of your information and make you part of the task force. Is that how it works?
Well, it's not part of the task force, but it would be signing the compact and agreeing to support the action items of the task force. So that's right. You're right there. You're that close.
Dave, let's not scare them.
Looking at your signature is what they're doing, Dave, to make sure that it's, you.
Oh, signature verification. There's a grand idea.
There you go.
I love it. Well, hey, listen, what it's doing is saying, hey, I commit. I commit to being a part of this. And it makes you, it just gives you something that everybody else is doing. And if everybody commits and they've all read the agreement and they've all read all the rules and regulations, there really aren't rules and regulations to me. They're just common sense, but I guess we lack some of that in the world these days too sometimes.
And
But
I think it gives an education, Dave, to people to say that if you see it, say something about it.
right.
Don't walk away.
Well, I know on Dave Cooper Live, we are going to support everything you are doing and driving this industry forward. Everybody has to remember that, NAHB is our voice on Capitol Hill, is our voice for the industry. And without NAHB, we would not be where we are today in our field and what we do. We would not have the freedoms that we have in the building environment because they're always protecting our rights and trying to look out for us. And I know we said Greg is a lawyer, but if you don't know Greg is also a builder. He has a development company as well. So these are all people in the industry, not just lawyers. They actually have businesses in the industry, and they couldn't do the NAHB stuff if their businesses weren't successful as well. So what affects us affects them, and I think that's super important to put out there for everybody.
Please
Yeah.
join the local home builders association.
For sure. All right. Well, that's a wrap, everybody. Please hit that like and share button one more time. And like I said, now is the perfect time if you want to go and say hi to Brad and Judy and Greg on their LinkedIn profiles and wherever else you can find them. Go there, like and follow, and be sure, to get out there and get the House That She Built book that's been put out, sponsored by 84 Lumber, which is a female-owned company. I just love saying that. We need more of it. And Brad, we will see you at
Anderson
IBS.
Windows. And
Anderson Windows. Yep. Well, I haven't had Anderson on. Maybe we got to bring Anderson in here.
We do need to bring them on.
That's right. That's right. And Brad, all the work that you're doing and all the work that your company that you are part of is doing to help the youth win these competitions, give them chances that they otherwise wouldn't have on some of these island nations that are out there, and you're working with them and your company is working with them, I think is an amazing opportunity as well. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. We enjoy it.
And I just got to say, it's Maglev Construction. I got the spelling wrong in the beginning. He gave me a hard time.
Good.
That's okay. But Maglev Construction is doing a ton of great stuff out there as well. Greg, you got any final parting words for us?
No, I think that people can absorb all this information. Again, it's on YouTube. And Dave, I'm so glad to hear those numbers because all the schools are starting to focus on what product you and Jen put out. And I think that this is great. This is something that people will be able to refer back to as well.
Yeah, it is great. We've gone from 30,000 a month to over 100,000 per month. So it's amazing. All right, everybody, listen, this was Monday Expert Interview, Dave Cooper Live. Thank you very much for joining us today, Judy, Brad, and Greg Eugaldi. Greg, we will see you next month with some more updates, and we'll see everybody at IBS as well. I'm looking forward to that show. And for the rest of you out there, join us Wednesday for our product spotlight. We are going to have Andrew Seeley back on our show, and we're going to talk about his G-Pod, and not just the G-Pods that are already out there. We're going to talk about the production and the innovation and the ideas that they are working on right now. We were there Saturday to come up with a new concept and a better way to build. You will be very surprised on how much work and effort goes into coming up with new concept and better building science. We're going to talk about that this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Greg, Judy, Brad, stay right there. I'll come back to you after the outro. Everybody else, enjoy your Monday afternoon. We'll see you next time. Thanks now.
Bye now.
Bye.